excited to welcome you to the launch of our French resources for the new Modern Languages K-10 syllabus. In this session, we'll be unpacking our French resource sets from Stage 4 and Stage 5, including sample units of work, assessment tasks with marking guidelines, scopes and sequences, and student resources. We will explore the intent of curriculum reform and the content and pedagogy of the new syllabus and how they're reflected in our resource sets. And we will provide considerations when developing your own resources. We'll also be providing a copy of this presentation in our statewide staff room and the recording on our Languages New South Wales YouTube channel in the next few days. So if you miss the start or you miss a bit, it will be available.
Thanks, Kristen. We begin today by recognising the ongoing custodians of the lands and waterways where we work and live. We pay respect to elders past and present as ongoing teachers of knowledge, songlines and stories. For more than 40,000 years, the Aboriginal people of Australia have used storytelling to pass knowledge from generation to generation. This exchange between generations is more than a process of teaching and learning, as Aboriginal knowledge and cultural practices are tightly woven into the landscape and history of the people and form an essential part of shaping community identity. Today, I'm proudly presenting from Wiradjuri country at the foot of the very famous Waaloo in Bathurst, New South Wales.
And I should add, I'm presenting from Darawal land. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Thanks,
okay,
Kristen.
So let's take a moment to recap the features of the Modern Languages K-10 syllabus. So, Renetta, I believe that was your line. Would you like to jump in?
I will. In our last statewide staff meeting, we unpacked the features of the Modern Languages K-10 syllabus, including what is exciting and how the syllabus and outcomes are structured. You can access the recording of this. As we said, we're recording today. It will be on the Languages New South Wales YouTube channel, where you can also find previous statewide staff meetings recordings. Back to you, Kristen, to show us the French resources.
Thank you. So there are two resource sets that we will explore today, one for Stage 4 and one for Stage 5. We're going to look at how to find them, what's included in them, and what they showcase to support you to then design your own units. We have designed a suite of sample resources for Stages 4 and 5, including a scope and sequence with a student-friendly infographic, Stage 4, 100 hours, and Stage 5, 200 hours, an assessment task with marking guidelines and a sample response, a unit of work, fully resourced, and a student-friendly unit of work infographic. It's important to note that these sample resources are not a directive. They are a sample only. They are not a directive of what to teach. We provided these so that you can see how the new syllabus can be applied to Stage 4 and 5 French to support you in your planning and teaching. You can use these resources in numerous ways. As they are, you'll find everything included so you can pick up and teach it. It's the first time we've done this, so we're very excited at this level of support, very excited. As a resource or ideas bank to pick and choose parts to use and adapt to suit your context, or as a means to build your understanding to support you to create your own programming resources. In today's session, we will show you what we have developed and our thinking behind the process to help you with new syllabus implementation. So where are they? When you visit our webpage at the address shown on the screen, you'll have a number of choices on the landing page. Click on Planning, Programming and Assessing 7 to 10. And notice that there is also a K to 6 link with the same name. You don't want to go there. Well, you can, but you don't want to for this. So where are they? On the Planning and Programming and Assessing Languages 7 to 10 page, you can scroll down or click on Modern Languages K-10 Syllabus 2022, where you will find the new language-specific resources. And there they are. So far we have Japanese and French, and the next ones off the cabs off the rank will be Chinese and Spanish. Here you will find a scope and sequence for 1 full year for the Stage 4 mandatory course and a scope and sequence for the full 2 years of Stage 5 200-hour elective course. There's also a unit of work for a full term of teaching in Stage 4 and a full term in Stage 5. You will notice the documents are long. We would like to acknowledge this and explain why. They are standalone resources. Everything you need to teach the unit is now included. When you open a unit of work, all of these resources listed on this page are also hyperlinked in the document. Each unit also includes a visual learning map. As you can see here, the unit of work for stage 4, called Let's Go to Town, is broken into 3 learning chunks: where I live, my home and its layout, and the local area. There are 3 mini tasks dividing these learning chunks that have been backward mapped from the summative assessment task. In this unit, the mini tasks are formatively assessing, interacting, and creating text, while the summative task is assessing, understanding text, and creating text. And we will unpack all of that as we go. And there's more. Not only will you find a list of PowerPoints, worksheets, and PDFs that align with each learning sequence here on the webpage, there are hyperlinks within the units of work to YouTube links, online worksheets, flashcards, and more. We'll put the link to these resources in the chat for you now. Thank you, Chanel. That should be popping into the chat as we speak. The power of technology.
It's all there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chanel. All right. So the stage 4 and stage 5 sample scope and sequences, we'll have a look at those now. They include title and duration. You can see on the title page, it's for 100 hours. Learning overview, a description of what students will learn term by term. Syllabus outcomes. Skills, in other words, what skills students will develop in French. And the assessment task. So the department scope and sequences contain more information than what's required by NESA. We believe the additional information better supports both you and your students. Like all our resources, please modify them to suit your context. The first thing you will notice is the length of the document. Stage 4 is 17 pages and stage 5 is 24 pages for scope and sequences. As department resources, we need to include instructions on how to use the document, relevant research and quality assurance information, ensuring it is a resource you can trust and use with confidence. We've included the skills that students develop, so the intention of the outcomes and content is clear. We've also included the suggested assessment task, and rest assured, NESA's requirements are embedded in our documents. So let's take a look. The term duration, our sample units have been designed as 10-week units. They're a full term of learning. You can adjust these to suit your context and to align assessment periods with assessment periods at your school. So to support reporting, it may or may not fall at the end of term. So the units include a range of assessment ideas in the form of mini tasks. The learning overview provides the unit title and a description of what the students will learn. Outcomes, the 3 syllabus outcomes are covered in every unit. However, not every content dot point is addressed in every unit. The content dot points all need to be addressed though over the course of a stage and are considered essential learning in order for students to meet the outcomes. Skills. We have included the communication and language skills for each unit as a guide to student learning during the unit. Having them here helps cross-check them quickly with other units across the stages to ensure you see a growth in skills within each stage and across the stages. Language should be constantly recycled and built upon. And assessment. We have designed an assessment task for each unit of work, ensuring all outcomes are assessed across the stage. We've also demonstrated interrelated tasks that assess more than one outcome. These are samples and not directives. Remember, assessment requirements are school-based decisions, so you may assess individual or multiple outcomes depending on your context. So these are the topics we've included in our scope and sequences for stages 4 and 5 across a 3-year period. You can read through those now. The bolded topics are the units of work that we have fully developed in this set of French resources. In determining the topics covered, we not only backward mapped from stage 6 continuous topics, we also ensured topics built on each other from term to term. This enables the development of skills using the spiral approach for reinforcement of language structures and to build complexity. We'll take a look at a term from the stage 5 scope and sequence now so you can see what is included. Here you go, Kristen.
Thank you. So this is the first term of stage 5. Apologies for the formatting. We had to take screenshots and squish them together. That's why there's a little wiggly line through the middle. You'll notice footnotes. These have been included in consultation with the multicultural and EALD education and inclusive education teams to ensure all students are supported to access the content. You may find other information in the footnotes, such as hyperlinks to resources which could be used. Looking at the assessment column, you'll see we have an interrelated assessment task with content from the first receptive understanding part connecting with content from the second productive part. This is to model how the outcomes connect to each other. These tasks allow students to develop skills for stage 6 interrelated tasks and provide an opportunity to use language skills in multiple ways for deeper understanding. In part A of the assessment task of What's Your Style unit, students read a magazine article about an influencer that outlines their recent activities, fashion preferences, interests and opinions, and they answer questions about the text in English. This provides a scaffold for part B, where students have to record a podcast about an influencer in their life, asking and answering questions about their choices. When you explore the resources yourself, you'll see in other terms we're assessing one outcome only. We want to provide you with a variety of approaches. Across the year of learning, we've ensured all outcomes are assessed. Remember, assessment and reporting are school-based decisions. Which outcomes you choose to assess through which style and format is up to you, in consultation with your head teacher and, of course, aligning to school-wide assessment practices. You can edit these documents to change the content and the format to suit your own context, provided necessary requirements are met and school procedures are followed. In addition to the scope and sequences you've seen, you'll also get these student-friendly versions of the scope and sequences that can be used to be displayed in your classroom, around the school, or give to students so they know the language journey they will embark on. You can even include them in the school newsletters and subject selection booklets. These visuals are far more engaging for students than the 17-page scope and sequences you've seen and can build excitement towards their language learning. In addition, these are also learning maps from the Aboriginal ways of learning and a great way to include Aboriginal perspectives in your classroom. You can see the learning maps icon on your screen at the bottom right there. The infographics you may or may not be familiar with are created with Canva, which is really fun and easy to use and free for educators. You can adapt our versions. We're very happy to share the link. Thank you, Chanel, or create your own. You'll see the editable versions in the chat now, so that you get the French stage 4 and stage 5, so you can have a little play around with those if that suits you. They are very appealing, I agree. Thank you, Louise.
Now, remember, again, we're saying this a lot, our documents are long due to our context. But if you just look at the scope and sequence table itself, each year is 5 pages only out of that 17 or 40, whatever, however many we said were the whole document. So it's worth noting that NESA no longer requires these documents to fit on 1 to 2 pages, as the focus needs to be on the content, not the length. But if you do prefer a simplified version, you're very welcome to adjust to your own school templates. This is an example of what it could look like, showing you that our scope and sequences can fit on 1 page if your school requires this. But we like to expand and be quite explicit so that teachers can understand our thinking. That's why ours are so much longer.
So now on
Beautiful.
to the unit of work.
Yep.
As with the scope and sequences, we acknowledge these documents are long. Stage 4 French is 63 pages and Stage 5 French is 56 pages. But the reason why is a good one that, as we've already said, our units not only provide the teaching, learning and assessment activities, they also guide you through the pedagogy very explicitly. The intent of curriculum reform is to strengthen and streamline what is taught in schools. It presents an opportunity to engage and re-energise what we teach and how we teach it. In our context, this means emphasising depth rather than breadth, focusing on practising, reinforcing and building on language structures that facilitate communication rather than focusing on large amounts of vocabulary. This allows for deep learning. You do not need to use all of it or even any of it. You can use parts of it, you can take activities from it, you can use it in your own context or even with units for other languages. We've used these as more than a teaching program. We've unpacked pedagogy throughout and have included all of the resources. Be sure to check out the hyperlinks. Thank you, Rochelle.
I'm not seeing the chat, so I don't know why you're giggling.
It's just popping up. So these are, once again, our very pretty infographics that are proving so popular. These are the student-friendly infographics for each of the units of work that we have developed. Once again, they were created in Canva, and we are providing you with editable templates of these to adapt to your needs. And once again, Chanel's doing a super job of popping those in the chat. The Stage 4 unit of work we've developed is Let's Go to Town, and Stage 5 is In My Free Time. They are now in the chat, I believe.
Yes, they are.
Yes, thank you, Chanel. Good job. Here are some of the features in each unit. This is what I'm most excited about, to support you with planning, quality pedagogy and syllabus content. As we go through these features, the Stage 4 unit is on the left, and as you can see, the Stage 5 is on the right. At the top of each slide, you'll also see the icons we've used in our resources to support you in understanding the layout, just to make it a little easier to follow. Let's start with the summative assessment task, which is the bedrock of the unit. By providing this at the start, you have a clear understanding of what students are expected to understand, know, and do by the end of the unit, just good quality backward mapping. The unit features teaching, learning and assessment activities have been chunked into lesson sequences, each with their own underpinning learning intentions and success criteria, as well as the vocab and grammatical structures. Lesson sequences may be anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks, so that's different across to each language depending on what we're teaching and how we're teaching it. Next, we have explicit teaching and learning activities, with each one aligned to syllabus content dot points. You can see these in bold after each activity. In our context, the outcomes of the syllabus are very broad. The true richness of the syllabus lies in the content dot points. Each time we've chosen the dot point or dot points which align most strongly to the activity, but there may be others. By aligning these dot points to activities, we're showcasing what the syllabus looks like in the classroom. You will see most activities come with a hyperlink. This will take you to the resource for that activity. Everything you need to teach the unit is there for you. Very exciting. Another feature of the unit is the mini task progress checkpoints, which are included and are a formative assessment opportunity backward map from the end of unit summative task. These support students to identify where they are on their learning journey in relation to meeting the requirements of the summative task. After each mini task, we have included opportunities for feedback and student self-reflection to support students to gain ownership of their own learning, build a deeper understanding of how the language can be applied to the summative task, as well as identify which skills they need to strengthen and where to go for help. It's a great opportunity for them to analyse how far they've come. Throughout each unit, we have included differentiation strategies for students requiring additional support, high potential and gifted students, and students with advanced proficiency. We've aligned the strategies with a particular activity, an assessment task, or a learning sequence. These strategies are neither exhaustive nor definitive. They're just ideas to remind us of the importance of meeting the needs of a range of students. We will now cross live to walk you through the Stage 5 unit so you can see these elements in action. Rest assured, all of these elements also exist in the Stage 4 unit. Okay.
Give me a bit. And
Sure.
I'll share this screen. Is that sharing our web page now?
Yes, it is.
Good. So I'm going to give a live demonstration. We go to 7 to 10. Scroll down. There's French.
Yay.
And we're going to stage 5, sample unit. There's all the resources, but I'm just going to click on that first one, unit of work, because everything's in there. Where is it?
Yeah, so as we said before, all those documents you can see, they're all hyperlinked in the document that you're about to see.
Oh, now I'm sharing the wrong page.
That looks very much like Renetta Wolf.
Yeah, sharing the wrong page now. It opens with a different thing. Wrong screen. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. That should be better now.
There we go. Okay, so here it is, the stage 5 sample of work, which you can now access on the website. The document is 56 pages, remembering it's designed to pick up and teach. It contains all the teaching, learning and assessment activities you need, as well as the student resources. It also showcases the intent of curriculum reform, engaging more deeply with key content only. And the intent of the syllabus, focusing on communication as the central goal. Take the time to read through the whole document carefully, then you can choose to use it as it is or select and adapt parts of it to suit your own context. It's not a prescribed format, and we certainly don't expect your units of work to be 56 pages long. Please remember that. It does support good pedagogy. You can set out your units in your own way, provided necessary requirements are met and school procedures are followed. The units of work still have a unit description, including timing and what communication and language skills will be covered. Student prior learning is also addressed so that you know our intended expectations of skills students need prior to doing this unit of work. This also means you know what to pre-teach if you want to pick up and teach one of the units. Syllabus outcomes are also included. However, we've drilled down to each outcome's content points, as these are much more detailed than the outcomes themselves. You'll see we've aligned the syllabus dot points with teaching and learning activities throughout the unit, shown in bold. So when you have a look at it, you can see the bold dot points as you look at each activity. By aligning the syllabus content dot points to teaching, learning and assessment activities, we're showing you what the syllabus looks like in the classroom. It also helps you to see the breadth of content covered in the unit. We recommend including and tracking them within and across your units to ensure you cover all of them across the scope of a year. This is because all syllabus content dot points are considered essential learning. The assessment task is upfront, backward mapped to the mini tasks and to teaching and learning activities. The assessment task for this particular unit is your class is planning to publish an online magazine for French teenagers to learn about Australian culture. Choose 3 sport and or leisure activities you've recently participated in and create a short text about each one to contribute to the magazine. Choose at least one activity outside your home. I'm glad you think so. It is awesome, isn't it? In each text include a title, information about how often you do each activity, your opinion about the activity with justification, information about the activities of one other person in your household, friend group or extended family, and when you last did the activity using the past tense. For example, I went bike riding with my friends last week. For the activity outside of your home, include where it occurs and how you get there. As you can see, it's very, very explicit for the kids, so they know exactly what is expected from them. You will notice all of our units have a focus on inclusivity with suggestions throughout the unit for differentiation for different learning needs, and those are in grey. I don't know if you spotted one yet, Renetta.
Yeah, there was one before.
Yep, student reflection and deeper understanding through open-ended tasks, reflection questions and exit tickets.
There's one there.
There's an example of an exit ticket. I'm sure everybody knows what those are, whether you just have to give the kids a quick task that they have to complete before they leave the room to prove that they've learnt the lesson during that period. So the topics of this unit are weeks 3, what I do in my free time. Weeks 4 to 6, the weekend, and week 7 to 10, sports around the world and a summative assessment task. Timeframes, formative and summative assessment tasks, teaching and learning activities and reflection and feedback opportunities should be adjusted to suit your context, including the specific strengths and needs of students. So let's take a look at the last learning sequence from week 7 to 10 with the focus on sports around the world and the summative assessment task, bearing in mind what we just read out. We've included learning intentions and success criteria for each chunk of learning in the learning sequence rather than upfront for the whole unit of work. Each learning intention is aligned to a success criteria that shows how students will demonstrate their achievement of the intention. Vocabulary and grammatical structures are also aligned with the relevant chunk of learning and not at the start of the unit. We've included suggested vocabulary and grammatical structures, including questions, the questions that you would ask within that unit, that means. The learning chunk has been further broken down into subtopics. So you've got summer and winter sports, then you've got holiday activities, and then the final little section is about famous sports people. These are then further broken down into teaching and learning activities aligned to outcomes and outcome content dot points, which is shown in bold after the teaching and learning activities. As you can see, a nice little beautiful example right there. As we scroll through the teaching and learning activities, you can see the hyperlinks. These are fully resourced units of work, and as such, each hyperlink will take you to a resource, such as a video, a worksheet, a website, flashcards, or a thinking routine that are needed to complete the activity. You don't have to create anything. It's all done for you. You can also see exit tickets embedded as further checkpoints, which we already mentioned. Mini tasks or progress checkpoints are progressive, building across the whole unit in complexity to the final task. Tasks may have hyperlinks to stimulus texts, worksheets, and scaffolds to help students complete the tasks. Reflection and feedback points are included for students to check their understanding and progress in line with the final task marking guidelines, connect prior and future learning, and reflect on their learning and set future learning goals, as we already said. And the differentiation examples are there. They're provided as a starting point for how you can differentiate some of the teaching and learning activities in the lesson sequence for a range of learners. These can be adapted or redesigned to meet the needs of students in your classes. It's also to show you that it's not such a scary thing after all. It's some nice simple examples for you to follow. Opportunities for teacher evaluation are included at the end of the learning sequence as well as at the end of the unit. So you can add any adjustments made or that need to be made to the next stage of the learning sequence. So here's a sample summative assessment task. You can see the outcomes and content dot points there. So you have the overarching outcome, then you've got your content dot points broken down for you. You have the task description, which is written in student-friendly language to set students up for success. Marking guidelines are linked to outcome content dot points, including A to E criteria, also student-friendly, to support consistent teacher judgment and to ensure expectations are clear for all students and teachers. The sample student response, which we recommend using this as a means to plan your assessment task, to break it down into mini tasks and teaching and learning activities to ensure that you're explicitly teaching all of the vocabulary and the language features that are identified in order to be able to complete the task. Then we have Appendix B, which is the unit of work infographic that we've already shown you, which can be displayed in the classroom or student books so the students can connect each stage of learning and understand the learning journey, and they're also very pretty. And finally, there is a how to use this resource section, which provides an opportunity to give feedback to the team, very important. We will be calling eventually for French teachers to be the trailblazers for this unit of work, to give it a go, parts of it or all of it, and give us some feedback. So please keep your eye out in the statewide staff room for a little call out for teachers who would like to pick it up and give it a red hot go. The how-to also provides advice on supporting students with disabilities with suggested adjustments. So while we've only shown you stage 5, we can assure you that stage 4 contains exactly the same amount of detail. It's very, very similar, except for the content, obviously.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back to PowerPoint.
Please do.
Bear with me. PowerPoint. Oh, calm yourselves.
Would you like me to sing?
No. It's just getting the right screen up to, there it is. That where we were?
We're up to how will you use these?
There.
Mhm.
Everyone can see that, except I'll get you off the screen that everyone can see double of. Okay, so thank you for that, Kristen. How you use these resources is entirely up to you. Timeframes, formative and summative assessment tasks, teaching and learning activities, and reflection and feedback opportunities should be adjusted to suit your context, including the specific strengths and needs of students. Our aim is to provide resources that all teachers across the whole state, no matter their context, can see themselves engaging with and using in some way. Furthermore, our intention is that you will do the same for your students. Use these resources to enact visible change in your classroom, where all the students can see themselves in what you program for them, because each and every one of them are at the centre of what you do every day. Next. How are the new curriculum intentions addressed in our resources? So let's take a moment to reflect on the intentions of curriculum reform for everybody, no matter the KLA, before looking at how these have been addressed in the support developed for languages. The New South Wales curriculum reform aims to strengthen and streamline what is taught in schools. The curriculum reform is an opportunity to engage and re-energise what we teach and how we teach it. It focuses on making clear what is essential in the curriculum to give more time for deep learning, establish stronger foundations in English and mathematics, and provide stronger links between HSC subjects and career pathways. So hopefully you've seen some of that, but let's have a look at what this looks like specifically in our resources. We have provided strong foundations for future learning. The scope and sequence topics and skills build to stage 6 outcomes and topics. Text types included also cover a range that can be found in stage 6. We backward mapped from stage 6 through to stage 4, in addition to backward mapping within each scope and sequence and within each unit. Decluttering the curriculum. Our resources have a strong focus on structures, including recycling structures, sentence structures, and building on them unit to unit. This is in place of large quantities of vocabulary. We have focused on what's essential to know, allowing scope for students to add what's important to them when using the structures. There should be more time for teaching. In our languages context, our activities and tasks allow teachers to move around more, personalising the learning for students and providing immediate and ongoing feedback as students engage with and experiment with the content. Also, we're hoping we're giving more time back to you all by providing fully resourced support which unpacks both the syllabus and the pedagogy. Deep learning of core concepts and build students' skills in applying knowledge. Skills students can then adapt and opportunities to build confidence in adapting the language learnt through mini tasks and through open-ended tasks mixed with explicit teaching. Excellent ongoing progress. Monitoring and feedback checkpoints are in place throughout the units after the mini tasks, with exit tickets throughout the unit of work and teacher evaluations after each mini task. Teacher professional learning for new curriculum. We'll go through this in a moment, but our PL includes statewide staff meetings each term, network meetings, accredited microlearning, pedagogy examples embedded into the resources for teachers. A head teacher session we just had yesterday, there's a recording available. Support dedicated launch sessions like today, and for each, that's going to happen for every new set of language-specific resources. Flexibility. The Modern Languages K-10 syllabus and our approach to programming gives you full flexibility to adapt to your own contexts. By providing tasks and concentrating on these rather than overwhelming content, we allow time to teach important language and communication skills. We've addressed text types and language use activities that build literacy skills. We have provided authentic real-world applications in our tasks for students with language use, and we are developing important communication skills and intercultural understanding throughout. And definitely Student World is considered in teaching and learning activities and assessment to invigorate the learning and increase engagement. The syllabus itself states content must link to students' personal worlds, and you'll see that in our support. We do need to cater for the diverse needs of all language students in New South Wales, not just individual contexts, and we recognise there are many. So any further feedback or ideas you have for us in any of our tasks, approaches, the language that we've included, any language use, all of the feedback is warmly welcomed. Our work is for you and all of our language students, so we want it to meet your needs. And here are some other resources available for you to consider as support with the new syllabus. We've developed a Stage 4 generic scope and sequence with a suggested learning overview, communication skills, assessment task for each unit. These can be adapted to any language and used in their entirety or to combine with the French units we've developed or your own. I have a few minutes to look at those. A few seconds. Sorry, and this I accidentally clicked. And the same for Stage 5. So take a bit longer this time to have a look. We're developing language-specific units of work, but these generic scope and sequences were developed first as samples that could be applied to any language course. So the generic units of work are different to the language-specific ones. So the language-specific ones were created, like the French today, doesn't necessarily follow the same as these. So these are a whole new or a whole different resource you can look at. And again, the editable versions of these, if you like the style of these infographics, are in the chat now too. Or will be any minute.
Stellar jobs, Chanel. They're already there.
We have also developed programming guidelines which provide an overview of everything you need to know about quality programming in modern languages 7 to 10. Here's a snapshot of the programming guidelines. You can see it not only contains information about the syllabus and how to program with it, we've also included checklists for you. The checklists support both the NESA requirements and the department's recommendations in terms of supporting quality pedagogy. I don't think I had that link to go in the chat, but I'm sure it's easy to find.
So where to from here? We have created a suggested implementation journey for you. First, take some time to familiarise yourself with the new syllabus for each stage you teach. Find it on the NESA website. Then, if you haven't already, complete the e-course Modern Languages K-10 syllabus from planning to practice in year 7 to 10. This is an accredited PD 1-hour course. We also recommend catching up on our Term 1 and Term 2 statewide staff meetings through our YouTube recordings, and those are also available on Teams. Next, explore how the syllabus is applied. Take a look at the generic and language-specific resources the languages and culture teams have developed, not only for French, but for other languages too. Each set of resources showcase different things as can be applied to other languages. French and Japanese have now been published, and other languages are being developed for release later this year and early next year. They'll demonstrate different ways the outcomes can be applied, a variety of teaching and learning activities, a variety of assessment ideas with outcomes mapped to the syllabus and sample responses in English. Take a look at our programming guidelines support that walks you through the essentials and best practice ideas when programming. Then make a plan for change. Redesign or create units of work to align with key changes of the new syllabus. Communication is the central goal. Supporting students to interact using oral language. Content that focuses on depth, not breadth, and content which centres on the students' personal worlds. We strongly encourage you to teach one of the units we're providing, so both you and your students can experience the pedagogy and find out what works best for your context. Finally, review and reflect. Get your students involved and ask them what worked well and what didn't. Consider these and your own reflection and identify any areas for further development, as well as what support you may need. We are here to support you, so please make contact anytime. This is an opportunity for you to also lead your colleagues in your school context in curriculum reform, as many of the syllabus implementation timelines have been paused or are still in the draft phase. But Modern Languages is still going ahead as originally planned.
I might just add there too, Kristen, you don't have to have your program for the whole year or the whole 3 years ready to go the first day next year. It's an evolving process that we're here to support you with.
So our upcoming professional learning includes, see you, Tiki. It was lovely to have you with us. Sorry, that's my French teacher. She's leaving. Bye. Au revoir. À la prochaine. Our Term 3 statewide staff meeting on assessment and the Modern Languages K-10 syllabus, which will be held on the 10th of August, which is next Wednesday. Is that correct, Renata? Next Wednesday?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, sorry. Oh, yeah, because today's the 3rd. You can enroll in my PL with the code that is currently on the screen. And this is a list of other professional learnings we have available. Our statewide staff meetings are held in week 4 each term, and our network meetings in week 7 or 8. We also organise language-specific conferences, some in collaboration with stakeholders. All these events are advertised in the statewide staff room and on the blog. You can see we also have a range of accredited PD available. Details can be found in our statewide staff room and in my PL.
And remember that NESA also has an accredited PD course for the new syllabus. And to access our support, we also have our online spaces. Our blog, which is for non-Department of Education teachers who cannot access the statewide staff room. Our YouTube channel, which hosts recordings from all the statewide staff meetings we have delivered. And we also have a Facebook and Twitter space where we share information too, if you prefer social media. Our language teacher networks support language teachers in New South Wales schools. The networks are K-12 and cross-sectoral. Networks provide teachers with an opportunity to engage in collegial discussions and to share ideas and strategies with the aim of enhancing innovative practice and supporting teacher wellbeing. The majority of our network leaders are practicing classroom teachers, and some are here today, we know, with a passion for supporting colleagues. Those who aren't currently teaching are members of the Languages and Culture team, and that means that we can support everyone across the state. Finally, if you're a DOE teacher, Department of Education teacher, and you're not yet a member of the Languages statewide staff room, we urge you to join. And that, Kristen, concludes our presentation. I'm going to, Evie's got a question.
Evia has a question. What is your question, Evia?
I don't, it was an accident. I was looking for the clapping in
Oh,
reaction.
It was the sound of one hand clapping.
I'm going to stop
Well
sharing so that we've got faces. And
Oh,
I'm going to
Tarina, I hope I'm
stop
saying
the
your name
recording.
correctly. What is your question? Tarina has a question.
I've stopped the recording.